the Santa Cruz County Board of Education December meeting. Very exciting. So first, I would like to, besides calling this to order, establish a roll call, establish a quorum. Is there anything? Please.
Trustee Acosta?
Here.
Trustee Estrada?
Here.
Trustee Nichols? Trustee Sanchez?
Here.
Trustee Van Allen?
Here.
Trustee Williams?
Here.
President Roth?
Here.
Student Trustee Hopkins?
Here.
Student Trustee Marcus?
Here.
Thank you. Quorum has been established. We have not heard.
That's correct. We have not heard from.
Dr. Sabah, if you would be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you are able to stand, please do so and face the flag. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You. Moving on to item 3, approval of the agenda.
I would like to request that we make some changes. I'll second and then request we make some changes. Beginning with the recognition for the retirements, moving that up to after the public comments, and then postponing item, so the retirement recognitions is 10.1, moving that up after the public comments, and then postponing 10.2 Pacific Collegiate School Annual Diversity Update and Report, given that Dr. Reitano is not great, won't be able to join us. Postponing that till our next meeting in January.
So you were the first?
Yep.
And second?
I'll second.
Well,
Seconding. He was second.
Okay, okay. Got it. Okay, so now we will go to item.
We have to vote to approve the agenda.
Public comment. I'll never get it wrong. I'm retiring as president tonight, and I was going to do a perfect. Anyway, public comment.
We have to vote on the,
Vote on the agenda. The student representatives can just join right in with the board. Student trustees, if you are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Trustees?
Aye.
So the motion passes. Now, on to public. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items outside the agenda. The board president will recognize any member of the audience not previously placed on the agenda who wishes to speak on a matter directly related to school business. Each speaker on any specific topic may speak up to 3 minutes unless otherwise limited or extended by the president. The president may allot time to those wishing to speak, but no action will be taken on matters presented. If appropriate, the president or any member of the board may direct that a matter be referred to the superintendent's office for placement on a future agenda. please refer to the item. Okay, so Berenice, have we received any requests?
We have not received any requests for public comment, President Roth.
Thank you. Now, and is there anyone wishing to speak to an item that didn't fill out? Don't forget it. Now we will move over to item 10.1. The retirement recognitions. Dr. Sabal?
Was that moved to be before the? got-
Question.
So our retiree is on her way. And so we were hoping that we could table this item until she arrives, so she can enjoy the honor. Thank you.
Okay. So we will go to our next agenda item, which is appreciation for our outgoing trustee. And Trustee Sandra Nichols' term has expired and will not be continuing to serve on the Santa Cruz Board of Education. We recognize her for 12 years, her 12 years of dedicated service to the Santa Cruz County Office of Education and 12 years prior of the RO.
Yes, I'm sorry that Ms. Nichols is not present, but we did want to take an opportunity to share just a little bit of her story with you and her commitment to our schools and to our students here in Santa Cruz County. Ms. Nichols started her career as a speech and language specialist and for students, for bilingual students who were needing support with their speech and providing parent workshops, empowering families to actively engage in their children's education. She began her journey as a public servant in the year 2000 when she was elected to the Pajaro Valley Unified School District Governing Board, representing trustee area number 6. And she was the first board member who was bilingual in PVUSD. She joined our board in 2012, and where she continued her mission to advocate for equity, diversity, and innovative programs in education. And she has been an advocate for biliteracy, for environmental studies, for advanced placement courses, for CTE courses, and always thinking about how to create those conditions for students to learn and thrive in our schools. And she's also been an advocate for school funding at the state level, for student safety, and for transparency and governance. And so her passion for education is deeply personal. She traveled extensively in Latin America, and her hands-on approach and dedication to students in Santa Cruz County is going to leave an indelible mark on the community, and including her advocacy for the adoption of the seal of biliteracy in PVUSD and other districts. We thank Sandra for her outstanding service to our community, to our students, and to this board, and to the County Office of Education. It's really been an honor to work with her and advocate on behalf of our students. We are so grateful to Sandra and thank her for her many, many years of service.
Bruce?
Just wanted to quickly add a little bit to what Dr. Sabah said. I've known Sandra for a really long time. We've been comrades in political struggles over the years. And what I've loved about her is that her just utter steadfast commitment to the students, especially the Spanish-speaking students of our county. Her time on the Pajaro Valley Unified School District Board, some may remember, was not an easy time, but that's often true in local school districts. I helped her get elected to this board when she first ran, and she never had to have a serious opponent after that due to her own commitment. And what was so important for me, and I think the certificate of biliteracy is the symbol for what she stood for, which was that her commitment was to make sure that the people that have the obstacles in their way have those obstacles removed or get the assistance that they need. And that was really why she was here. And the biliteracy movement, which she was a leader in, and the certificate of biliteracy was something that is just getting a hold in this country right now, but it's something I think that should be built into education. So she's a pioneer in that very important initiative, and it also reflects well in our county and our community that have that, thanks to her and other people. So anyway, Sandra, we love you. I'm sorry you're not listening, and maybe you are, but I'll find a way to tell you that directly. So thank you again.
Thank you, Bruce. Anyone else like? Sandra will be missed, and I won't repeat what Bruce has said, but she truly has been an advocate for the student. And the part I have really enjoyed while getting to know her is her absolute commitment to safety students. And she has never backed down. So thank you, Sandra, out there somewhere. And I appreciate the time that spent with this county in advocacy for our students.
And on behalf of the board and the County Office of Education, we're going to be presenting Sandra with a gift of an orchid and a certificate of appreciation, and so we'll be providing that to her.
Okay. Now we will reverse and go back to Am I doing something wrong? I'm hearing murmuring.
Just excitement in the room.
Okay, I'm ready. Anyway, we are recognizing the very important contribution of Rosa Rosas for the Santa Cruz County Office of Education. And Dr. Sabah will now say a few words.
Good afternoon, members of the board, President Roth, and to our esteemed community. It is really a pleasure and bittersweet to celebrate somebody who has been a part of our COE community for a long time, 23 years. And I think Rosa is part mama bear, part consigliere, and part ninja. She is really an amazing person, and it is, her journey with us started in October of 2001, where she was a secretary at the COE, and she has continued her ascension in her role and her support for the organization, and until she has been working with us as the department coordinator for our alternative education program. Before that, Rosa spent 17 years as a bilingual receptionist at Santa Cruz Medical Clinic, and came to us with a reputation for being someone who was deeply dedicated to the community, somebody who is always there to help people to kind of navigate these complex systems and to ensure that people get the services that they deserve with dignity. In her retirement, she looks forward to spending quality time with her husband and children and grandchildren and to explore the world with travel. Rosa has expressed her pride and her contributions to this organization and has emphasized her commitment to helping colleagues, friends, families, and students, and her gratitude for the opportunity to mentor and advocate for so many, which she has done brilliantly. And so the County Office of Education extends its heartfelt thanks to Rosa for her invaluable contributions. And I'd like to ask our Executive Director of Alternative Education, Johnny Rice, to join me to share a few words about Rosa as well.
Good afternoon, everybody. As we gather here today to honor Rosa Rosas, it's hard not to wonder, as I've heard from many of you in this room, what will we do without her? Rosa has been the heart and soul of this place for 23 years, giving freely of her wisdom. She's been the caretaker of our staff and the go-to for just about everything. She's built relationships with everyone. Rosa knows every inch of this building and every trick in the COE and Alt-Ed playbook. She's the one who always has the answer, the solution, or at least a good joke to lighten the mood. From planning our celebrations to offering support during our toughest times, Rosa has been there for us all. She's the friend who sends flowers, the colleague who knows how to throw a party, and the confidant who listens without judgment. Rosa, you left some truly big shoes to fill here. Not that you have big feet. We thank you for a full career of contributions. We wish you all the best in retirement. We hope this new chapter in your life brings you joy, peace, and endless possibilities. I'm gonna miss you. With that, I want to give you this parting farewell card signed by a number of your colleagues, which includes an envelope here with some contributions from some of your colleagues that will hopefully help you get your travels and retirement kicked off.
So, Rosa, we'd love to have you come on up and share a few words. And we're also grateful to your family for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. But Rosa, would you like to come up and share a few words? And we'd like to also present something to you as well.
I'm a little nervous, okay, everybody, but I want to thank everybody for being here. Took your time to, well, you guys have to be here, but they all have to. Sorry. But for everybody else that's taken their time to be here, I had a great 23 years. I learned a lot. I met a lot of friends, a lot of coworkers that I think I will continue seeing even after here. I was glad that I did what I did. I feel very honored in working where I worked and what I did. Alternative Ed is a great department. It brings a lot of programs for kids that have a lot of challenges. And I just feel grateful that I was there to be able to help some of those families and actually coworkers too. So I feel blessed that I've had those 23 years. Thank you.
So, Rosa, on behalf of the County Board of Education and the County Office of Education, we'd like to present you with this award for 23 years of loyal and dedicated service in education. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for being an amazing advocate. And we just wish you and your family a wonderful time as you travel the world. Can we get a picture maybe with the family? And John? We're gonna go over to the front.
And before we send Rosa off, we just want to show you some photos of some colleagues.
While we're looking at the photos, if any board members would like to share a few comments, this would be an opportune time.
I would like to say happy travels. You deserve it, and from all that I have heard of what you have contributed to alternative ed program, lack, whatever is not even adequate. Because our alternative education program is so comprehensive, and the ability for all of you to work together in such harmony is fantastic. You're going to be greatly missed. Thank you very much.
I want to say thank you for your 20+ years of service. I'm a newbie here on the board, but I have a personal place in my heart for alternative education because my son went through the programs, and it is because of dedicated individuals like yourself that it makes it possible for them to get through some very difficult times and, and hopefully graduate and have a really great, successful life. So thank you for your time and enjoy your retirement.
Alt-Ed was one of the things that actually drew me to want to commit to serving on this board, and so important. And the wholly wonderful, swell group of people, a lot of whom are here to thank you, are why. And you're a big part of that, Rosa. And I thank you and wish you the best and your family. By the way, to everybody in Alt-Ed.
Thank you so much. And so appreciate it. You can see the love in the room from so many colleagues. We so appreciate all the folks that have come to bid thee farewell.
Thank you. Our next item.
A little minor thing.
Now we will move into the swearing in ceremony. We'll swear in the following newly elected trustees to the Santa Cruz County Board. Would you like them to step forward, or do you want to say something first?
Why don't we have the board members to step forward, please?
Greg Larson, trustee Area 3. Going to be sitting. Edward Estrada, trustee Area 4. Rachel Williams, trustee Area 5. And Ed Acosta, trustee Area 6.
Thank you so much. Is this working? All right. So thank you so much for joining me here for this important moment. I often share that I believe that education is the noblest profession. And I believe that it offers unparalleled opportunities for our efforts to disrupt the inequities that exist in our world and in our country. And as a trustee, you are a steward of the system of support for our school community, ensuring that there's impact for those students, for their families, and also that it is a sustainable effort. You're the voice of our community, shaping the conditions that foster student achievement and wellness. And through your leadership, you ensure that every child in our care is safe, is engaged in learning and thriving. So I want to thank you for stepping up once again and stepping up for the first time, Mr. Larson, for your commitment to this vital work and for choosing to serve in this manner. And so with that, I'd like to ask you to raise your right arm and please repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations, you're sworn in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, thank you. Oh, yes, could we get a picture of our new trustees or our re-elected trustees? Yeah, why don't we take one with new and then we'll get everybody in there. All right. We got to get all of our board members in there. And then could we get the whole board to join us? Students as well? All right. Abel, maybe you could stand on one side, I'll stand on the other. All right. We'll be the right here. Thank you. And oh yeah, sideways in the middle.
Yeah, why don't we try that? That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Everyone on this side, let's see, I think Ed, you're gonna be about the middle, so you can pick a side, maybe. All right, that looks pretty good. Look right here. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Thank you.
Greg, how does the chair feel?
Pretty comfortable. Comfortable for now. Comfortable for now.
Would any of you, you may start.
Well, as a newbie now, and Trustee Williams is no longer the newest member of the board, I'd like to start. I think that's the 12th time I've sworn the oath to public office, dating back to when I joined my high school youth commission, or the youth commission when I was in high school. But as the newest board member, I also wanted to thank the residents of trustee area 3 for entrusting me with this position. It's not like they had a choice, nobody else ran. So they were stuck with me. So, but I was pleased that in the 3 days that I knew about the opening and having to file, I got 300 endorsements, largely from parent volunteers I'd worked with in our local schools. And so that was a great testament to me. And since I didn't have a campaign to run, I've spent the last 4 months in kind of an intentional and structured process to learn about my district. And for those of you who don't know, this district goes from Harvey West, west side of Santa Cruz, UCSC, South Felton, Bonnie Doon, Davenport, and the North Coast. So pretty good large swath of turf. For this transition, I've toured all 16 public and private schools that serve my district. I've attended and introduced myself to the 4 local school boards that I represent, including not only Santa Cruz City Schools, but Bonnie Doon District, Davenport District, and Pacific Collegiate. And I'm going to continue that outreach every year, just so I know what the people care about in the district about education. And one of the highlights for me was attending your meetings the last 4 months. And I've been so impressed with the thoughtfulness and collegiality of this board, which unfortunately doesn't exist at many other levels of government. But this board embodies what representative democracy should be like. And I'm just excited to join you over the years ahead and work directly with you. I also have to thank Superintendent Dr. Ferris Sabah and his staff, Veronisa Valentin, and all the executive team that has supported me through onboarding and briefings and logistics of becoming a board member. Thank you. It's been wonderful support. I could not have expected more. And also, since I'm new to the board and to the district, I wanted to introduce you to my teachers, the people who teach me the most, which is my family. So I'd like 18-year-old Kavanaugh Larson to raise his hand. He's a senior. He's a senior at Santa Cruz High and has emerged socially and academically due to the career technical, special, and alternative education and student engagement that COE champions countywide. My daughter, my 20-year-old daughter, Camille Beaudry, she's going to be transferring to UC Davis next year from Cabrillo, having directly benefited from COE's college commitment program, as well as this board's prior chartering and oversight of Pacific Collegiate School, where she graduated, and also which launched her academically to amazing heights. And last, but certainly not least, my wife of 25 years, Eileen Beaudry. She's my loving partner as we mutually support each other in all our personal, professional, philanthropic, political, and public roles. And I just want to say thank you to all of them for teaching me so much and letting me do this. So thank you.
Welcome.
Well,
I don't know how I'm going to follow that up. I kind of want to echo what was said by Greg, which is the honor of serving this board that is really collegiate, really respectful. We come in here with different perspectives on different issues, and in my time so far, we never take it personally, and it's always trying to come to the best conclusion based on the evidence, based on how best to serve students. So I really appreciate that. I've really appreciated being on the budget committee, and being our representative to the SCUSBA meetings, the Santa Cruz County School Board Association, meeting other school district leaders. It's been an honor so far, and I can't wait for this term. Full term, just like Rachel, our first full term. So really, I'm super honored and excited to be here.
Good evening. Ed Acosta. I'm honored. I'm honored to serve on the board. Been a little busy this last year. grandparent for the first time. Beautiful. It's nice. It's nice that I have to run a campaign. I know what it's like to run a campaign. It's really tough. But on the other hand, it's a big learning lesson for me here on the board. I've learned a lot. Probably said much, but I've learned a lot more than I've said. And that's the nice thing about it, you know, my next term. So my district is District Area 6. It encompasses south there, so South Watsonville, into Monterey County. So I kind of bleed into Monterey County all the way to the Los Angeles. Quite a big chunk of Watsonville. Honored to be here tonight.
Me. Rachel Williams, and I serve Area 5, and I've just completed my first 6 months here on the board, and I have learned a lot, and I'm very excited to continue on with this board and join committees and contribute to make sure that our students are receiving the services and the care that they need to develop into great human beings and successful individuals in their own ways. And I look forward to working with Dr. Spa and the rest of the staff here at the COE.
I think this is. Thank you all for making the effort to serve on this board. True appreciation. Leadership. Many others. His family. Now, we are moving into item 7, which is the annual organization of the board. And California Ed Code 1007 establishes the terms of office and governance procedures for the county boards of education. In alignment with term start dates, which is right now, the board must hold annual organizational meetings to elect a president and other board positions. So, item 7 will be nominations for the
Thank you, President Roth, and thank you for all of your time. And I mean that sincerely because I am new at 6 months and you have been very helpful, and I appreciate the time that you've given, even with quick tests for clarifications. I appreciate your promptness, and so thank you for your time. I would like to make a nomination of our Vice Chair, Abel, to be president. He has equally been really supportive in my onboarding, and I think he would do a fine job in continuing the work that you've started here.
We need seconds, yeah.
I'd love to second that.
So we have a motion and a second for Abel as president. So, student trustees, how do you vote? Aye or nay?
I vote aye.
This is good. Board, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Actually,
Phew.
let's say roll call vote. Wait.
We don't have to do a roll.
I believe, no.
It is not, it is not needed unless a member of the board requests it.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your words and your support. I know that we're entering what will be a year of lots of unknowns, but one of the things that I do know is that our COA has been consistent. Forward to continuing to support and continuing to advocate and to lead an equitable and innovative learner-centered educational system as stated on our mission. That's why we're here, to serve our students. Going to continue to do that until, just continue, until I guess until we're not elected anymore. But thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate your guys' support. Moving on now, 7.3, we have the nominations for the vice president of the board. I'm going to ask to see if there is any nominations.
I would like to nominate Edward Estrada to serve as our vice chair for this year.
All right, we have a first and a second.
Just a point of order, since nominations are not motions, they're proposals, and so they don't actually require a second. I think it's great that you're doing that. It's a statement of support for the nomination. But just to clarify that it's not a requirement.
Learn
All right.
something every day.
If there's no questions or comments, can we get the vote of our student trustees?
Aye.
Okay. And of the board? All those in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Perfect.
Aye.
Congratulations, Edward. 7.5 is appointment of a chairperson to the county committee on the school district organization. And as has been tradition, we typically, the outgoing president is the one that serves on that board. Sue, is that something that you are interested in doing? Great. Is there a motion on the table? Perfect. Okay. We have a first and a second. If there's no questions or comments, student trustees?
But aye.
Thank you. Board members, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Congratulations. 7.6, we have the SCESBA. This is a meeting that we have with different school districts within the county of Santa Cruz. Typically, we have one representative, a person that represents the board, although anybody that is interested can attend. We have had our trustee Estrada, who has been our representative this past year. And I want to ask Estrada if he is interested in continuing.
Yes, I love it. It's great work, reporting back to our districts and really staying in touch. So yes, I love it. And even if I'm not on it, even if I'm not a representative, I will still attend.
Perfect. Again, anybody can attend. We just have to elect a representative. So thank you, Estrada. Okay. We have a motion.
And a second if
Second.
needed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Student trustees, favor say aye.
Aye.
Board, favor say aye. Aye.
I
Congratulations.
I hope to see some of you there sometime. Feel free to come. I'll make sure to send out all the invites if you don't
Thank you.
already get them.
And there was one that arrived a couple of days ago, and it'll be Zoom or in person here.
Hybrid. Okay. All right. 7.7, establishment of regular meetings of the board. This past year, we have decided to meet on the third Thursday of every month at 4 p.m. Now is the time to discuss this. If we have any questions, if we have any comments, whether that's something that we want to continue or anything else that we want to explore. Any questions or comments? Larson?
And are you Mr. Chair or Mr. President, or just able?
Yeah, any of the above. Any of the above.
The standing meeting time is great. I did want to note that the June meeting, because of a holiday for Juneteenth, it's moving to being and budget to the second and fourth Thursdays. And I have a standing professional conflict on the fourth Thursday of every month. So I won't be able to join the meeting except by Zoom till roughly 4:30 or 5. And that's fine. I just wanted to disclose that in advance. But I'm fine with that. It is budget adoption, so I'll certainly want to
You s-
participate in that meeting.
You said fourth Thursday is a conflict of interest?
I have
or
a
conflict?
standing conflict on the fourth Thursday of every month,
Perfect.
professional,
Okay,
that I can't change, but I can join the meeting 4:30 or at the latest 5 o'clock
understood.
by Zoom, because I'll be in Morgan Hill.
Any other questions? Any other comments?
I will say that the timing of these meetings is really difficult for a lot of working families, working parents, and that is something that has come up in terms of recruitment for the board, in terms of who can apply, who can make these times. So I would be in favor of moving the time. I know that it is a little, it is more difficult for staff here, having it later in the day, but I feel like accessibility and future recruitment of board members, I think it would really benefit if we had a later time for the meetings, but
Is
I'm open to.
Is there a time you have in mind?
Don't off, but 5:30 or 6.
Okay. Any other comments, questions from the board? Williams?
I appreciate the consideration for parents because I too struggled with that before. So making these meetings accessible to parents and to future individuals who might be interested in the board and joining board meetings, to do that, I would caution making it too late because some of our board meetings do go late and our staff are here all day. And I would agree to maybe go halfway and say maybe 5 o'clock, but again, that would be checking in with our COE staff to see if that falls within any issues that they might have.
Okay. Questions, comments?
So the majority of the
Costa?
board,
Go ahead. Sorry.
majority of the board, I believe, lives in North County or works in North County. Probably the only one that probably lives and works in South County. I know the last time I asked, if we could make it a little later. 5:30 would be a great hour. Later, be able to make more meetings. It's difficult.
Okay,
So
understood. Van Allen? Comments?
Thanks. Well, I'm used to meetings at all times and I can adjust. So if the board would prefer to change it, I do want to say that realistically, the vast majority of the people that come to our meetings are staff. Unless there's a particular thing going on where parents or some citizens want to address us about a topic, and that's rare. So to me, having it work for staff and for board members, it doesn't completely override the consideration for parents and people who work during the day, but it is a very real thing, excuse me, in my experience of these meetings. So I have a little reservation, and I would certainly want to hear from staff about practicalities. But for me, I just set myself and I go to a meeting whenever it is. I can do 8 in the morning too if we wanted to, but I don't think I'll get many takers on that one. I like to get things over with, but
Thank you. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, I'll up Mr. Allen's ante and I'll go to 7 in the morning.
Ooh,
okay.
Oof.
No, seriously, I'm flexible with any time. I do think making it more accessible to parents, particularly South County parents as well that want to participate, and students, I think it's not just our convenience, but it's also the broader community. So 5, 5:30, 6, I'm comfortable with any of those. I think it occurs naturally, but maybe when the superintendent speaks to it, anything the chair and vice chair can do working with the superintendent to make sure any staff intensive items are early on the agenda so that we're just not making it such a late night for them.
Okay,
Be helpful as well.
thank you.
Yeah, just
Yeah, go ahead.
So, if we want to meet at the 5 o'clock hour, we want to try to split it a little bit. I'd be open to that. We also look at possibly having meetings on South County. I mean, we have people traveling from South County over here to come to the meetings, so sure we can find somewhere to host meetings over there.
Okay. Thanks for your comments. So when you say split, you mean the location?
Well, yeah, we could do a rotation.
Okay, got it. Trustee Roth, any questions, any comments? Okay, perfect. So I think we're in a unique position right now where I know, I think we're in a unique position right now that we have student trustees. I really appreciate, and I value you guys' time. I know you guys have school. I know you guys have after curricular activities. So I'm definitely very interested and curious as to what you, how you feel in terms of both the time, and the day that we do meet.
So, yeah, the third Thursday of every month has been working for me, and I haven't had too much of a problem making the meetings, but I think making it a little bit later would definitely help, because I end school around 3:30. So I think even like 4:30 would be fine, and even later would be better. And then Trustee Acosta mentioned South County, and that would work for me, but that would probably have to be even later because that's the direction of traffic. So I would probably have to be, those might even have to be around 6 or so, even waiting till traffic has died down.
Okay.
For a South County meeting.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. Hopkins?
Very flexible, but I do all online school, so
Okay,
very flexible with it.
nice. Okay. We get public comment. Is that acceptable? In terms of like
public
staff?
comment?
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely we can open it up for public comment. There was a question about what if I could comment about staff members. I think that, if we don't want to be in a place where we're, doing what's more convenient for staff over the voice of the community, right? So I think that making the meetings accessible to the community is absolutely excellent, and I think we would work with whatever the board decides. I did want to share that there is a historical precedent where meetings were done later, and also there was a rotation in South County, and it didn't actually result in an increase in parent engagement or participation in the meeting. And so I would just keep that in mind if it's something that, if that is the intent, and if it doesn't result in an increase in participation, you just keep that in mind as you want to try it out, and then you could make a determination as to what is in the best interest of the board.
Clarifying question. Our meetings are online in Zoom live, correct?
Correct.
And if so anybody could join, and if somebody wanted to make a comment, they could via Zoom.
That's correct.
Perfect. Okay.
Real quick.
Yes?
Yeah, that was when I first came on and we had this discussion last year. Yeah, a lot of my thoughts were, okay, yeah, there is accessibility for parents to access these meetings online, and I think that it is quite accessible, and it could be more accessible. What was brought to my attention with my previous who held this area trustee seat, Rose, previously before me, she said that when she was recruiting for her replacement, working mothers in particular were unable to make the time, and I mean, it led to me being the only person able to apply, and I'm thinking about that representation on the board specifically, where we can't come to every single meeting on Zoom. That's statutory law that we can't just attend via Zoom while trying to make it here after picking up your kids and getting off of work early or whatever it may be. So I'm keeping in mind for longevity and the future of the board and who can serve on the board in the future, that I think it's a really important thing. And that's what kind of shifted my perspective from last year to this year, is really getting that perspective. Because I do think it is quite accessible being online, but not for those who serve. And I want this board to be really representative of the community.
Okay. Van Allen?
Well, two thoughts. I don't think we're going to get any new board members anytime soon. So I think that if we want to accommodate board members, we should always make it known that we can shift the meeting time so that somebody can make it. So I'm not quite sure that that argument is relevant today. I appreciate your concern about it, but I'm not sure that that would decide anything, because there's nobody out there waiting to. So, but I understand that the perception of important. I'm not opposing what you're saying. But on the question of a meeting in Pajaro Valley, in the past, and I think I maybe talked with the previous superintendent, could this board actually convene maybe 1 or 2 special meetings each year in a different part of the county with a lot of advanced publicity and maybe some specific topics to grapple with, so that people have an interest in a reason to go up and care about it. And certainly we could do an initial one in Pajaro Valley, and there's certainly facilities there where we could put on a good meeting at City Hall, if not. So why don't we hold that as not so much a scheduling thing as just a possibility for this board to do some outreach and some public involvement, but have it be focused around a reason to do it, not just change our schedule. If no one shows up, it's not the
Okay.
If I may, one more thing, just to tail back off of Edward. So I know that we probably don't have anybody that's going to, right? But we probably want to look at the future. There are people out there that want, when they're looking at 4 p.m. and they have kids that are doing school or they're working full time. I work full time. And I know you said you can go in the morning. I can't go in the morning. That's a full-time job, right? I know that there are people out there that want to run. They can't. They can't show up to these 4 o'clock meetings. You need to open it up for them. I mean, there's probably people in Santa Cruz County and North County that probably want to run here. They can't do it because 4 p.m. is too early. So we start thinking and start doing it now. That opens up the future. So they can know, hey, we can make meetings at 4 p.m. is too early. So we're really not being fair here.
disagreeing.
Okay. I think we've heard a lot of comments. Yes.
I'd actually just like to add to that, because I think the most immediate new trustees would be student trustees during the summer, seeing as both Natalie and I are seniors. And I think later meetings would definitely make it easier for people from all over the county, or students from all over the county, to be able to make the meetings on time.
Okay. Thank you. Any last comments or any last thoughts? If not, is there a motion?
I guess since I started the conversation, I see 5:30 as a really great time, especially for those that work 9 to 5, giving them at least a little bit of flexibility. I would propose every third Thursday. Is that right? Third Thursday at 5:30 p.m.
Okay. Got a first and a second. I want to.
With the exception of June, which would be the second
Yes.
and fourth Thursdays.
Right.
Excuse me, President Sanchez, I
Yes.
missed, who was the second? Thank you.
Was it Art? Oh, it was Van Allen. Okay. 5:30 is what the motion is on the table. I want to, and I just want to clarify that I believe, can we move location if we decide in the future that we wanted to have a meeting or 2 meetings in a different location? We don't have to decide that today, correct?
Correct. The board calendar is on every board agenda. And so you're able to make adjustments to the calendar or call for a special board meeting
Okay, perfect.
or even outside of a meeting.
Okay, perfect. Comments from the audience? Yes, go ahead. Yeah, please use the mic. Thank you.
Guacamanes, I love Santa Cruz County, and thank you guys very much for your service. I'm wondering, what is the average length of the board meeting? If we're talking about parents and children, and if the board meetings go 2, 3, 4 hours, are we talking that parents are going to be getting home at 10:30 at night? So I'm curious for those of us in the public who watch the board meetings, what time would be average that if we started a board meeting at 5:30, would it conclude? That's it.
Notice I'm usually home by about 7 or 7. It's my bike ride across town. That sound right?
That's about
Like an hour and a half more.
2.5, 3 hours, 2 to 3, Sue?
It depends, yeah.
It varies.
Yeah.
Sorry, Berenice. I think that the average generally is 2 hours long, and with some exception, but I think the exceptions are.
Okay. Any other comments from the audience? Online? No? Okay. We have a motion and we have a second on the table. And can we get a roll call? But first, let's start with our student trustees.
Aye.
Perfect, thank you.
With the new board, I just have to think alphabetically for a moment. Okay. Trustee Acosta. Trustee Estrada.
Yes.
Trustee Larson.
Yes.
Trustee Roth.
Yes.
President Sanchez.
Yes,
Trustee Van Allen. Trustee Williams.
perfect, thank you. Did we specify in the motion that was the third Thursday of the month? Okay,
Correct, with
5:30,
the exception of June.
got it. Thank you. Okay, update your calendars, everybody. 5:30 is when we will start beginning next month, January. Next 7.8, we have the appointment of standing committees. The first one being the Agenda Committee. Traditionally, this has been the president and the vice president who has served on this committee. So if it's okay with Trustee Estrada, would love for you to be on the Agenda Committee.
Sounds good to me.
Perfect. And then we can find a time and a place that works best for both of our schedules. Yes, and now going to the ad hoc committees. Before I start talking about those committees, I do want to talk about, or to the students trustees as well. We talked a little bit about making them accessible to you guys. If there's anything that you guys are interested in, if you guys want to jump in, I think we can arrange for that. We can share with you guys the time, the place. So if you guys are curious and want to do that, feel free to let us know, and we will be more than happy to accommodate you. Okay.
Thank you.
So board budget committee, we'll start there. Based on my notes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Estrada and Roth were the two that were in that committee. And what I want to say is that I think the budget is one of the hardest things that we do. Like looking at all those numbers, I don't know about you guys, but it gives me headache. Like I always feel like I need coffee or something, to kind of get through it all. But we have Leanne Reyes, who's amazing at her job and is very good at explaining as well. So the reason why I mentioned that is because it could, like all these pages and all those numbers can be a little intimidating. But one of the things that I like about the committees is that it provides an opportunity for us to ask questions, opportunity for us to have that safe space where we can get clarifying information and understand it a little bit better in a more intimate setting as opposed to publicly, in front of dozens of people. So with that said, I personally think it's a really good thing for our newer trustees to join and to be on that committee. I know Trustee Estrada has done that, and I don't know if he wants to continue doing that. But before I get there, I would like Larson and Williams to be on that committee so that you guys can ask questions and again understand that budget if you guys are interested, if that's something that you guys want to do.
I'd love to be on that committee. It plays to my professional wheelhouse.
Okay, perfect. James?
Although I am very familiar with budgets and budgeting, and Leanne has been super accessible, and I think I have stronger interests in some of the other categories.
Okay.
But should you need a third person or to fill out, I would be happy to.
Okay,
Yes, I want to be accessible to whatever the board is in need.
okay, perfect. Thank you. Estrada, is that something that you're interested in continuing?
I'm thinking about it in comparison to everything else I'm doing. I think yes, but it will be my last committee. I'm all booked up, I think, with this and everything else. That would be it. And everything else, everyone else can do. But I would also love to see someone else is interested or
Is there another committee that you would more interested in serving?
no, I love Leanne.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Abel?
Yes.
You know, I think it would be great if one of the two prior members carried over just for continuity. So that would be either member Roth or
Yeah.
Estrada.
Are you interested? Trustee Roth?
Definitely.
Perfect.
I learn every time.
Great. So we have Roth, we have Estrada, and we have Larson. Perfect for the board budget committee. Moving on, we have the policy committee, and I believe on my notes, Estrada, Roth have been on the committee this past year, correct? Van Allen? Okay, this is the three of you guys, or?
I believe from what I see, it was just me and
Okay, sorry about that.
Interested,
Continuing. Estrada?
no.
Okay.
Although I love it.
That's fine. Completely fine to say
I
no.
think I'm all booked up.
Okay. Is there anybody that would be interested in joining the policy committee? Like the other committees, it's a good opportunity to ask questions as to why we have certain rules, why we follow certain procedures, or maybe to modify them and have an influence that way.
I would be happy to.
Perfect. Trustee Williams? Anybody else?
I'd actually be interested in joining that committee.
Okay, nice. So I will put you down, Marcus, as well. Send you that information. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Next, we have the Charter Committee. Sue Roth and myself are the two members that are in that committee. You're interested in continuing, Roth? Okay. Great, as am I. And is there anybody else that is interested?
I would be interested in learning more about that committee and being involved.
Okay. Perfect. So we'll do Williams, myself, and we'll do Roth. And then last we have the community. The Community Outreach and Legislative Committee. I have you down there, Van Allen, as member. Is that something that you want to continue?
happy to.
Okay, perfect. And I think Larson also mentioned that he was interested.
Yes, when I spoke with Trustee Nichols, former Trustee Nichols, she was very proud of having been instrumental in setting up that committee. And she was hoping that I'd kind of follow her lead and continue on it. So I'd like to be on that one if possible.
Perfect. Anybody else interested?
I'm interested.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Hopkins. This is amazing. We have 3 people for each one of our committees. So thank you guys for stepping up. We will plan, you guys within your own committees can plan a time, a date that works best for you guys to do that work, work with staff, and to report out to the greater board.
President Sanchez, just a couple of items. After looking into it just a little bit, I believe that the agenda committee does not actually qualify as a standing committee, but as an ad hoc committee. And so I think that that's how we can frame it as an ad hoc committee. In addition, our board bylaws specify that the meetings take place at 4 p.m. And so one of the first orders of business at the next meeting will be to modify board bylaw 9320 with either a more open time or to specify the new time of 5:30.
So do we need to meet at 4 next month?
I don't think it would be that problematic to make the change at that meeting. I think that would be appropriate. It would be fine. We would be temporarily in violation of the bylaw for a few minutes, but
Don't tell anybody.
I think, I don't think it's necessary
Okay.
to wait another meeting.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Policy Committee, you guys have your first task. All right, so with that, we're moving on to number 8, consent agenda. This is the point of our meeting where we talk about, we recommended actions that are considered to be routine and acted upon as a single motion. Any questions or comments, or do we have a motion? Van Allen?
Pretty major gift in there, so I'd like to move it and express gratitude for the gifts.
Yes. Super appreciative of our community. Believe in us and contribute to our programs. Any other questions, comments? Motion?
I thought I was making the motion.
Okay. Oh, you were making the motion? Okay. Motion by Van Allen, second by Williams. Student trustees?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Board, all's in favor? Aye. Perfect. Passes. Do we have any correspondence that came in?
The correspondence received was the PCS annual report, which was emailed to you all. They did it within their deadline. And then the other correspondence you all have copies on at your dais. It is the annual report. Good job, Nick.
Thank you. All right. So as mentioned, we have postponed the item 10.2 Pacific Collegiate School Annual Diversity Update and Report so that Dr. Raytano can join us and give us that presentation. We do have that report, so we can continue to look at it and review it and then come with our questions next month. 10.3, we have our first interim financial report with Leanne Reyes.
Okay, good evening, board. I was teasing Marcia earlier and I said, wow, the room is so full, but I know how to clear it. So thank you to my dedicated staff who are still here. I appreciate you and everyone else from the COE who decided to stay. This evening, good evening, and congratulations also to all of our returning and new board members. We really appreciate your servant's heart in serving our community and the County Office of Education. So welcome. I look forward to working with you in the future months. So tonight we'll be going over our first interim report, and we would not be able to be doing this this evening unless we did not have the assistance from our internal business services team, which is led primarily by Melissa Lopez and Michelle Kennedy, and also lots of heavy lifting and assistance from Tara Lee, Brooke Rosso, Nitia Ambrosi, and Shay Sexton. So today's discussion will be talking about our budget and the reporting process, an overview of the 24-25 first interim budget, key differences between the 24-25 adopted budget and 24-25 first interim, our revised multi-year projections, a little glimpse into what's next, and recommendations. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So I want to start off this evening first taking a quick look at the annual reporting cycle, especially for the benefit of our new board members. I just want to point out that the yellow font shows where we are right now in the annual reporting cycle of our budget. We are at the first interim report, which is all activities and projections through October 31st. And this is due, we are due to submit this to our state by December 15th. And then the remaining items that we will be processing through that will wrap up our fiscal year will be, next you'll be hearing from me about the second interim. That'll be in March. We will bring to you our estimated actuals at the same time that we bring our 25-26 budget adoption. That will happen no later than July 1st, and you will be receiving a budget adoption calendar on our next board meeting. Generally, we bring that in January because we need to wait and see what meeting dates the board has approved for us for the, can't believe I'm saying that, 25-26 fiscal year. Our unaudited actuals, which would be activity through June 30th, will come to you in October. And then our audit is due from our auditors to us by December 15th. We do have our audit. And Samantha will be presenting our audit to you in January as well. So this is where we are. And it's just important to know that at this point, any programs that might have had carryover, those amounts are now going to be reflected in our budget, as well as any deferred revenue from our prior year. So it's important to keep in mind that this is just a snapshot in time based on what we know as of today. So there are three different classifications required by the CDE for each interim reporting period, and that must be certified by our county superintendent. Our classifications are a positive certification, which means that the entity will be able to meet its financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent fiscal years. Would it be possible to refresh this slide? Because I noticed I had made some corrections on here and it's got the old stuff. So I just don't want later on some of the other. Okay, thank you. Secondarily, another certification is qualified. This is assigned to entities that may not meet their financial obligations for the current or 2 subsequent fiscal years. And then lastly, we have a negative certification, and that's assigned to entities that will be unable to meet its financial obligations for the remainder of the current fiscal year or the subsequent fiscal year. The COE is never in danger of not having anything but a positive certification. I do like to share these with you, however, because some of our school districts kind of are on the line sometimes and they have different levels of certification. And so I feel that it's really important for you to get a good understanding of what exactly would put a district in any position other than that of a positive certification. All right, so yay us, we have a positive certification. It's hard to follow all the fun ed programs, and then here I am with numbers. So I love Minions, so our Minions are excited for us. It means that we're going to end this period with positive ending cash, which is super important, and positive ending fund balance in our county school service fund at the end of 26-27. So that means through the multi-year period. We will also have our 5% reserve, and then we will also have positive ending cash balances in all of our COE funds. So a summary of some of our key updates between last time and this time, last time meaning adopted budget. We will see that there was an impact to our books because of the reversal of the GASB. I love the Minions, but we could go to the next slide if that's okay. Thank you. We're going to see the impact of the reversal of the GASB 31 entry for the fair market value adjustment for unrealized gains and losses, which was recorded in the 23-24 fiscal year during the closing of our books at unaudited actuals. The impact of that was $1 million, just over. We will also have the impact of our 23-24 unearned revenue and carryover budgets, which will now be recorded since we have the final numbers. And then new grants, awards, or allocations, which have been added, new things that we've received, a lot of exciting new things. So continuing on, we see that there are lots of new resource codes and increased grant awards that have been coming in relating to a lot of money coming in due to Mr. Painter. I see he left. Is he here? Did he leave? Yeah, he's out writing for more money. This gentleman has brought in so much money for wellness initiatives and student emotional wellness and SEL programs, and it's just mind-boggling and amazing. And he is the champion of braiding different funding streams together in order to provide services for our students. And here's just a list. Most all of these have to do with something to do with wellness, with the exception of our last item down there, which is Project Ascend, also another super, super exciting program. It's a diversion program to help our youth avoid more serious or potential for incarceration, I guess. I know Dr. Sabah did an amazing presentation on that for you at our last meeting. He has a lot of experience and knows a lot about this particular program. But just on this slide alone, we recognized over $7 million additional since our adopted budget for these really important programs geared towards our students. So I'm very, very excited about that. Okay, so we're going to look really quickly now at a glance, a high-level review showing the combined, so this is our total budget of unrestricted and restricted budgets for Fund 1. If you want to follow along in your board packet, that we're on page 270. I know it's hard to flip through all these financial statements too. They all kind of start looking the same after a while. We make that mistake upstairs sometimes, don't we? Or if you're looking at the actual handout for just the SACS information, it's page 18 of Form 01. So the original adopted budget amounts are shown in our column A, and our first interim amounts are shown, on column projected year totals, column D, with the difference between those two periods being shown in column E on your actual financial statement. So we've recreated those numbers for you up here. You can see that our adopted original budget was predicted to have a deficit of $3.6 million in deficit spending. But as of first interim, our deficit spending has been reduced down to approximately $642,000. So the important thing is to remember that this revenue number was influenced primarily by those key changes we just discussed, our GASB 31 reversal, and then also all of those grants we just looked at. If you look in your SACS packet, also a detailed listing of all the assignments can be found on the lower portion, page 271 of your packet. So breaking this apart and looking now just at the unrestricted budgets, we're on page 253 of your packet. The original adopted budget amounts are shown again in column A, our first interim amounts in column D, and the difference between the two in column E. So the adopted budget also for unrestricted was just under $2 million deficit being shown. That has been reduced down to about $838,000 of deficit, or an improvement just over 1.1 million. I won't quiz you publicly, but just, $1 million of that is GASB 31. So included in the total expenditures and transfers out, we have $2.4 million worth of contributions that come from our unrestricted budget over into the restricted programs or the restricted budget. Those are primarily dollars that are supporting our routine restricted maintenance. And then we have contributions to our new teacher project program, our special education program. We've got tier 2 admin credentialing program that we're supporting with our unrestricted dollars. We have Alt-Ed Sports League. And then in our CTEP programs, medical assisting, dental assisting, computer tech, medical technology, we're also supporting and contributing to those programs as well. Again, if you look at the lower part of your Form 01, pages 2 and 3, you can see all these assignments detailed out for you. Any questions on that? Okay. So moving into the restricted budget, we know that restricted usually comes with strings. It's usually federal dollars. It's usually restricted grants. It has to be used only for the purpose that it's stated to be used for. Unlike unrestricted, you have a little more freedom to use that money. I'm kind of trying to say this for our student trustees because this probably sounds like any language you don't normally speak. Klingon something. So if you also want to follow along in your packet, we're on page 262. The adopted budget projected just over 1.6 million in deficit spending, and at first interim, that has now decreased, and we're actually showing a surplus of just under $200,000. We did talk just a few minutes ago about routine restricted maintenance falls into this side of the budget. All of our federal and most state dollars fall into this side of the budget as well. And all of these new grants, the Project Ascend again, that $7 million list that we just talked about, they all fall into this side of the budget. And it's important to note that there is predicted to be about a $4 million ending fund balance when we look at this particular budget, because a lot of the grants that we get are not just for 1 year. They spread over multiple years. And so we recognize the revenue in, but then we also only recognize the amount of expense that we think we'll be using in the current year. And then in our multi-year projection, we usually spend or plan to spend out the rest of those dollars for future years. So between both sides of the budget, you can see that we have a very healthy total ending fund balance for the County Office of Education. So when we move into our multi-year projections, we can look at what some of the key assumptions are that impact how we build out our multi-year projection. And to start off with, we did have a settlement with all of our unions for the 24-25 fiscal year. And so the costs of those agreements are already included in our budget. Our step and column for certificated and classified staff are also included each of the 2 out years of 1.3 and 1.2% respectively. STRS rate of 19.1% for the current and 2 subsequent years is included. PERS rate of 27.05, 27.4, and 27.5 were used for the current and 2 subsequent years. Fun fact, if you didn't know, STRS rate normally doesn't fluctuate as much as PERS, and it's because it's required by the legislation to decide if they do or don't want to increase STRS rates. But PERS rates change frequently based on how well they've been achieving their investment and earnings figures. So I do get that question sometimes about why is STRS so much more steady and reliable? Well, they change the rates when the legislature decides it's time to. Health and welfare estimated employees in our employer increase at 8.5% each year. And then we adjusted and removed all of the one-time revenues and expenditures in the out years for things like ESSER 3, IPI or in-person instruction, the CalHOPE, CalWell, and other grants. And then cost of living adjustment, or the COLA. Our assumptions for 25-26 used a 0% COLA, and in 26-27, we used a 1.5%. In January, we're going to be attending the governor's budget or his proposal for the 25-26 budget. And so we will reflect and change, update our COLA figures at second interim after we receive more information. You also have to keep in mind that first interim sometimes isn't super exciting, except for all maybe new money we get because the data is not quite mature enough yet, if that makes sense. We've only been in the in the fiscal year for a few months. And so at second interim, that's normally where you're going to see maybe more significant changes based especially on what the governor's budget is. So I was going to pull this next slide, but I decided to leave it in just because we've seen it a few times now. And I think it's great for our new board members to also see how much rates can change over the course of the years. And when people are trying to predict COLA. And I always love to use the analogy that future projections or predictions, especially when you're starting to get out 2 or 3 years, it's like holding a pencil. And I don't know if I've done this to y'all before, but it's just when you hold the pencil here and you shake it, it really doesn't move a lot the closer it is to my thumb, because I have a lot of information and data now. I know what's happening. But the further out and the more years I get out, the more of a bounce I pick up because it's so much more unpredictable out there. So this slide's really a great way to demonstrate and show you like, yeah, I don't know what COLA is really going to do 3 years from now. Nobody knows. We could have a COVID pandemic that comes in and blows everything out of the water, right? And so you can see how crazy, like 23-24 was really crazy. It went from an early on prediction of 3.6 all the way up to 8.22%. And right now we're sitting on what looks like we may be around the 2 or 3 range, but that's also been subject to a lot of conversation. And we heard a few months ago it was going to come in super soft. It's not going to be that. And then later it was like, no, we think it's going to be better. And now we've got, how's the new presidential election going to weigh in on all these factors in the economy? So we go with 0. We're going to go really super soft, really super conservative. We've got great ending fund balances. Anything from here will just be upside if it improves. So that's kind of the logic. And I feel like that's a great slide to help demonstrate just how volatile that number can be. So moving into our ADA assumptions, we're going to show you the 2 prior years, our current year, and then the 2 subsequent years. Districts, of course, continue throughout the state, and in our area is no exception, declining enrollment. So that also does translate down into declining ADA. We have our alt ed programs estimating a slight decrease in the out years. And then our county-wide ADA estimates include a reduction of approximately 0.75% average for the out years. So when we did receive protection or ADA relief, I guess that's a better word, in the 23-24 fiscal year, when COEs were finally granted the same ability to calculate their ADA on one of 3 methods. I say finally because school districts were able to do that way ahead of us at the COE. And so our ADA can be predicted on the greater of the current year or your prior year or the rolling 3 prior years average. And so that really helped us when we saw the big dip come in from COVID and attendance, although those of you who were on the board also realize the amount that we lost was modest compared to some of the other alt ed programs throughout the state. So using that prior 3-year average does result in a higher than actual annual data for us. Again, I want to make sure you see the title on this slide. It's funded ADA assumptions. How much money are we getting based on our ADA? Our estimate for 24-25, our actual ADA starts off at, for alt ed, at 901, and you can see that we're up here being funded on 934. The out year also prediction is going to be 896 and then 892. But because of that rolling 3-year average, we're actually being funded a little bit higher, which is great, but will also be a bummer if we get a 901 year that starts replacing some of those high years. So it's always really important, again, to be very conservative in making these types of assumptions and predictions. So moving into our 3-year unrestricted multi-year projections, we can see that in our current year for our unrestricted, also we're now probably on your packet 351, if you're still trying to follow the bouncing ball. It reminds me of those movies when I was a little kid, Paris, they had the song at the bottom and the little ball would bounce over the top, tell you where you were in the song. I think none of the rest of you may know what I'm talking about. Maybe Bruce. You remember? Thank you. Okay, so starting with the 24-25, our beginning balance for our unrestricted after closing our books was 27 million. We are anticipating $33 million in revenues, total expenditures of approximately 34,000, and our deficit of 837,719. That's the number we just talked about a couple of slides ago. And that would leave us with an ending fund balance of approximately $26.3 million. So thinking back to our assumption slide, we can see that our revenue is declining due to 2 major factors: lower ADA and a super conservative COLA. And you see that reflected in our multi-year projection up there for 25-26 and 26-27, with our revenue dropping down from 33.8 to 32.6, and then ultimately $32.1 million. And then thinking about the expenses that we always build into our assumptions, based on what we know are going to be ongoing costs, like the cost of step and column, health and welfare, CalPERS retirement rate increases. You can see that our total expenses are current year 34.6, and then a 34.61, and then $35.7 million. So each year currently is showing deficit budgeting. I paused and say budgeting because we don't actually deficit spend until we close the books and we see what did we actually really do. This is all just our projections. So knowing that, we still come in with a very healthy ending fund balance in our unrestricted side of the budget. At the end of the 3rd year out there in 26-27, we're looking at approximately a $21 million ending fund balance. Okay. On the restricted side of the budget, restricted is kind of a, I think, easier MYP to do. Don't shoot me if you don't agree with me, Melissa, but it's pretty much money in, money out. There you go. It's done, right? The tricky part with the restricted side is, of course, knowing which grants expire in 1 year or 2 or 3 years. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, we also have a very healthy restricted ending fund balance. Out there in the 26-27 year, we've got a 5.3 ending fund balance, and this data also is in your packet on page 343. So when we roll those together and we look at our combined ending fund balances for both restricted and unrestricted, our current year is currently predicting an ending fund balance of just under $36 million. Second year out, 25-26, we're looking at almost a $31 million ending fund balance. And in 26-27, we're looking at a $26.1 million ending fund balance. And then that next section at the bottom of the slide just carves out for you how much of that ending fund balance is actually restricted, coming directly from the restricted side of the budget. And then the rest of that balance is our other assignments. The other thing that I just want to share with you is we also have set aside in our Special Reserve Fund 17, the equivalent of the 5% as required by board resolution. Those amounts are 3.6 million, 3.8 million, and 4.1 million for the 3 years. So we also are adequately reserved outside of the General Operating Fund 01 in Fund 17 Special Reserve Fund. Okay. Our criteria and standards review. This is like one of the really important things. If you don't have time to like plow through all the financial numbers, or if you have insomnia, you could, I guess, some night it helps you take a little rest. But this is the one section you really want to look at because it does help you know if we are meeting or in or out of certain standards as required by the CDE. So our first criterion standard is that our projected operating revenues for the current 2 subsequent fiscal years have not changed by more than 5%, and that we were outside of the standard, and so it flagged it as not meeting. And this has primarily been because of preliminary allocations changed a lot since adopted budget. Our federal revenues were allocated in the fiscal year to which expenses are anticipated to occur. So we had a lot of reductions in the subsequent years as a result of. You can think for yourself what the answer is, and then I'll let you know. Here it is. The answer is the multi-year one-time funding and all the ESSER money being exhausted. You all knew that already, though, I think. So removed from those expenses were everything related with those costs, and that caused us to fall outside of the normal of change. And I don't know anyone that stayed within the normal of change because everybody is spending out the last of those one-time dollars. Local revenues, projected operating expenditures, books, supplies, and services, same reason, because it's tied out to a lot of those one-time dollars and the subsequent expenses relating to that. Also outside of the norm is our unrestricted deficit spending, has not exceeded the standard. Our deficit spending in the current year includes one-time improvement projects. Also, our robotics initiative, our math initiative, and contributions to support other educational programs. And then our temporary interfund borrowing, the COE anticipates, and this is nothing new, the need to have temporary borrowing from our Fund 1 into our Funds 12 and 13. And that's because the timing of the receipt of state dollars for those funds can be delayed oftentimes, and it never comes in time to cover their expenses. And so we give a temporary loan to those funds in order to enable them to have positive cash flow. And then when they get their deposits in and their cash in, then they repay the money back to our unrestricted general fund. Right. The next item was criterion S5, have contributions or transfers to cover operating deficits change since the budget adoption by more than 5% or $20,000. Yes, our contributions for ALTED special education increased based on what the current funding allocation came in from the state. And then also other unrestricted contributions to support the CTE programs and routine restricted maintenance. We also had an increase in transfers out to reflect our restricted redevelopment agency dollars. which are now being transferred to Fund 40, which is our capital projects, and finalizing of our Fund 35 costs for our facilities projects. So I think we can go ahead to the next slide. And I paused when I said we were moving redevelopment money over into Fund 40 because in the past, as you are aware, may recall, we moved our redevelopment dollars over to Fund 56. And Fund 56 was our long-term debt obligation fund. So on this slide, the COE did have certificates of participation because it said, like, why did you guys blow your standard again? We had certificates of participation or a COP on this building, and we used our RDA funds to pay off the COP in November, Abel. And so we're just waiting for the paperwork to come that says we don't owe any more money to the municipal facilities ahead of schedule. Now by moving those funds, we estimated originally that we thought we were gonna, the debt actually said we were gonna pay off in 2037. And we changed how we're doing things and we narrowed it down to 2027, and we actually paid it out in November, and this saved the COE. Actually, our final calculation was $1.5 million in interest. So we're really happy that that worked. So if any of your constituents say you're not a good financial steward of the public's money, you can tell them, yes, you are. You're very, very good at that. Does the county office operate any self-insurance programs? Yes, and there have been no changes to the workers' comp liabilities, and everything's working great with that. So, okay, we're almost there through our criteria. Is the county operations ADA grant ADA decreasing in both the prior and current fiscal year? Yes, and we talked about that due to declining enrollment, et cetera. And has the county office entered into a bargaining agreement where any of the current or subsequent fiscal years would result in salary increases exceeding the state funded cost of living? Yes. This year, when we settled with our units, it was a 2% increase. COLA was only 1.07%. And so we chose to dip into our ending fund balance to help provide a 2% increase to all of our staff. So what's next? So the governor will be releasing his proposed 25-26 budget by January 10th, 2025. Many of us will be traveling up to Sacramento together and attending the school services workshop on January 21st up in Sacramento. The green bullet's really for you board members to recall that Capital Advisors Budget Perspectives Workshop will be held here on January 23rd from 2 p.m. to 4. I would encourage everyone to attend. The presentation with Capital Advisors is different than the school services workshop that we attend in Sacramento. That's a lot. School services, I feel, is more like the nuts and bolts and how do you go back and be an accountant and figure out what this number times that number is going to mean. I love Capital Advisors, though, because they bring more of a political and economic bent to their presentations, and it's very, very informative. Everyone should have gotten an invite, I think, from Bernice, and that has a link that shows how you can register. But if not, you can ask V, or you can certainly ask me, and I can make sure that you get that link so that you can get signed up. We look forward to seeing you here. The importance of the governor's budget is that proposal is then used to help us formulate what our initial assumptions are going to be if we're working on that 25-26 budget, kind of like that COLA number. Where do we think it's actually going to turn in at? And then we start the process of our second interim financial reports as of January 31st, and we will bring that to you in the March timeframe. So I thank you very much for your attention and your time. And if you have any questions, you can ask them now, or certainly email me or Dr. Saban. We'll be more than happy to address those questions for you.
Thank you, Lee. Sorry. Thank you, Leanne. Good job as always. Questions, comments from the board? From trustees? And Ellen?
Just briefly, partly for the students, but also all the board members. I find that Leanne and her department are really good at explaining things, and some of this can just make your eyes glaze. It's best to just take a chunk and try to get understanding of what that is, and then take another chunk. I want to make sure ADA, average daily attendance, that's a really key piece of our funding because that's how many how many students are showing up. But that's the basis of how most so it's a big issue for us about it. Kids in the fall off in enrollment. So when they say ADA, that's like the key. Dictates so much of the rest. Sure, Leanne's probably explained that, but a lot of this stuff will just go whoop, right through. You'll get it at the moment, but it won't.
I just wanted to thank Leanne for the briefing she gave me. I think it was about a month and a half ago, which was I've dealt a lot with city and state budgets, and school budgeting is so much more obscure and complex than even the city of San Jose. So thank you for that briefing. So thank you. And I have signed up for the Capital Advisors Program.
Any other, Ralph?
I like the COP being paid off. Am I correct that it was going to be like in 2038 and then we lowered it to 2028? And then it was last month? Yes.
Like paying the mortgage off.
Yes.
Just going to say, do you do home mortgages as well?
I have a question on the ADA relief. Is that temporary or is that permanent?
So I think originally when the legislature was talking about that, it was intended to be temporary relief. But so far it's here and it's here to stay. We haven't heard that anyone has talked about reversing that. But initially there were some conversations about how do we get a gentle downslope from the huge losses from COVID. And also they kind of were monkeying around a little bit with the ADA when COVID hit. They stopped our ADA counts for our students in like February. And normally that, you don't take those counts until like April. So that falsely overinflated a lot of the information we were getting. Well, I know that's probably more than what you just asked me. But right now, initially, yes. However, I'm not hearing anything at all. I don't know if Dr. Sabas heard otherwise. No. So now it is here
Yes.
for
Glad to hear.
to stay.
Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, thanks again for the report. Really appreciate it.
I could just thank our Leanne and the amazing business services team. They do outstanding work, not only in ensuring kind of the integrity and solvency of our financial system, but also just the communication with our departments, our districts, and the board. So thank you, Leanne, for your amazing work, and thank you to our amazing business services team. You're amazing.
Thank you. We're moving on to the next section, new business and action, starting with 11.1, the approval of resolution 24-44, authorizing the COE into local agreement with the state of California. For this one, we have Dr. Russell listed as a presenter.
Yes. So thank you. This one is an annual resolution that occurs, and it's related to the continued funding application that our Child Development Resource Center completes every year. This is an agreement to enter into a local agreement with the California Department of Social Services. They are a significant funding source for our Child Development Resource Center. And some of the things that goes into that local continued funding application with them is it allows the CDRC to continue to be really the one-stop resource throughout our county for families to learn about early child care options that are available to them. The Child Development Resource Center does extensive work in the community, both physically in the community, but also here hosting a hotline in which families can call to learn about what their options are, but also connecting them to many other community resources beyond just childcare. Additionally, this funding also helps the Child Development Resource Center provide professional development to early child care providers, both in home and in centers. And so the work that they do, and I do want to acknowledge community organizer Christina Valentin for the incredible work they do and the amount of work that goes into just this annual continued funding application and documenting all of the work that they do across the county is truly phenomenal. So this is just the resolution to authorize the county office to, upon submission and approval of this continued funding application, to enter an agreement for those services.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Questions, comments from the board? Students? Is there a motion?
To pass resolution 20.
First and second, comments from the public? If not, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins?
Aye.
Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Acosta?
Aye.
Trustee Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Board President Sanchez?
Yes,
Trustee Van Allen? Trustee Williams?
thank you. 11.2 is the approving of the resolution 24-45, School Board Recognition Month. And for this one, we have Dr. Sabah as our presenter.
Yes, for maybe the only time I get to recognize you in my introduction, and thank you for the amazing work that you do on behalf of our students. And this is what this resolution is about. We have 10 school boards, and each in our district and a county board of education, volunteer leaders who are advocating on behalf of students. This resolution recognizing their contribution, their commitment, their leadership, and acknowledges the deep, important impact not only for those students and families that are benefiting from it, but really for our democracy, because you are the representatives of our community and really are the ones that bring the authority to the decision-making and the allocation of resources to build those conditions and on behalf of students. So I hope you'll consider approval of this in recognition of your own work, as well as the many leaders who represent school boards across our country.
We will take it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any questions or comments?
I do have
Arson?
a question. Superintendent Sabah, do all the school districts do this like you're doing for us? Do they adopt their own resolutions at the local school district level? Or does ours get provided to them as appreciation? Or would it even be appropriate, I'm thinking, for trustees Van Allen, Roth, and myself to go to a Santa Cruz City School Boards and say, hey, thanks? Or is that not done?
To my knowledge, it's never been done before, but the resolution is posted, of course, as it's a formal official resolution, and we would be happy to share this resolution with all the boards. And then if you'd like to, in addition, to go visit, of course, that would be wonderful. I don't believe we've done that in the past.
Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion?
The 24-45 resolution honoring school boards throughout the county.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins?
Aye.
Student trustee Marcus?
Aye.
Trustee Acosta?
Aye.
Trustee Estrada?
Yes.
Trustee Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
President Sanchez?
Yes,
Trustee Van Allen? Trustee Williams?
Yes.
thank you. 11.3, we have a call for nomination to the CSBA Delegate Assembly. This is something that Trustee Surath brought to our attention, and along with Dr. Sabah, we'll talk a little bit more details.
So I believe that, so we recently learned that the timeframe for the selection of a CSB delegate is going to be taking place. I believe that nominations have to be provided between, are accepted until January 7th of 2025. And so as a result of this, former President Roth recommended that we place this item now to open up the nominations to to identify any members of this board that would like to be considered to be on the delegate assembly. The term for this is a 2-year term between April 1st and 2025 through March 31st, 2027. And they would really represent this area for the assembly, for the delegate assembly. And so really this is an opportunity to identify any folks who would like to be nominated from this board and then there would be a future agenda item where you would in fact vote for the nominated representatives.
Van Allen?
I'd like to nominate President Sanchez to continue in that role. Get my own opinion out there.
I appreciate it. I am honored for that nomination. Unfortunately, I would love to focus on the board and my role as presidency, but I really appreciate it. Any other questions, any comments, any thoughts?
I would like to nominate it, and it's specific to the county boards versus the district statewide boards.
So moved.
And the reason it's open is that Roger Snyder, he now stepped up to regional leadership. And this is Region 14, which has been developed in lieu of the CCE, which is the California counties, which was I'd love to do it.
Thank you for stepping up. It'd be good to have a representative from Santa Cruz County. I don't know that we've, yeah, it's always good to have more representation.
Brand new.
Mhm.
And I do believe this nomination does require approval from a motion. Second and.
I move the nomination of Trustee Roth to the CSBA position.
Okay, second.
Second.
Perfect. Any comments in the audience? If not, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Student trustee Hopkins,
Aye.
student trustee Marcus,
Aye.
trustee Acosta,
Aye.
trustee Estrada,
Yes.
trustee Larson,
Yes.
trustee Roth,
Yes.
president Sanchez,
Yes.
trustee Van Allen, trustee Williams.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. With that, we get to the fun part, superintendent's report. I love to hear about all the adventures and the great things that our own superintendent is
It
doing.
warms my heart, President Sanchez, that you consider this the fun part. So thank you. That's wonderful. It is fun if you look at this amazing picture of this young student who was at Watsonville High School participating in our computer science event and playing with a robot there with their parent close by. And we have a lot to celebrate, a lot of wonderful things that are occurring, and appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about the many activities that you help support. The first should be familiar, a photo that should be familiar to many of you because you were there, and with a great deal of gratitude, I share that we were able to pick up the Golden Bell Award at the CSBA conference, with many of you being present there. And Andres Ortiz, who is our coordinator of student leadership and engagement, is holding the Golden Bell Award. He is supported, of course, by his supervisor, Nick Ibarra, and myself and all of you, with also somebody, Roger Schneider there from Scotts Valley in that photo. But really just wonderful the recognition for the great work that Andres and the folks that support him are doing for students, and really encouraging, creating those opportunities for students to participate. And it was really wonderful to be able to celebrate with so many of you that evening. So we also have Nick has shared a strategic approach to Golden Bell Awards of the future. And so we're going to continue this effort from now on to continue this, to really, take the opportunity for others to get to learn about the great work that's happening in Santa Cruz County. I did want to share some wonderful news as well. Our very own Jackie Nicholson from our Business Services Office and Berenice Valentin were nominated to be part of the Magnificent Seven. They were nominated by our own team here and recognized at CASBO, and actually went over, I think, was it in Stockton? Pleasanton to receive the award. And I also would like to give a huge shout out to Berenice, who received her master's degree in leadership over the last weekend. She shares that she's not using any work time to work on her master's degree, but she's amazing and does so much for our office, and we're so proud of her many accomplishments, not only here but also in her educational trajectory. We also want to give a shout out to Carrie Magro, who is a special education teacher. Actually, she's an aide in our, Sarah Waters is the instructional aide at Chrysalis Center, who received the Carrie Magro Special Education Teacher Therapist and Aide Grant. She is an instructional aide who submitted you could read about her story, but was selected for the amazing work that she does for our students with autism in our Chrysalis Center. And you can see that she is quite a fun educator. Wanted to share a lot of great updates with you today. We already heard, and you have a copy of the new annual report. Our board is there, of course, with gratitude. And I just have to give a huge shout out to Nick Ibarra for his work in designing and collecting all the written material and really assembling. I think it's beautiful. It's a work of art, and I'm so grateful to Nick for all his hard work on that. Thank you, Nick, for making this happen. Showcases both the great accomplishments, but also some of the challenges that we face, including things like identifying the students who are experiencing homelessness and other challenges that remind us of the important work that we continue to do every day, and also the amazing resources and services that the County Office of Education and many districts offer. We will get an opportunity to talk about this report, but also showcase many of our programs on February 13th. That's our annual event that we'd love for you to join us in Live Oak Community Center. So you'll be hearing more about this. But if you could pencil in that date and time, we're going to be sharing some of the work that is taking place, and also, we'll have student entertainment and food, and it's a great community event to celebrate the great work that the County Office of Education is partaking in, and your presence would be greatly appreciated as such an important part of our leadership teams. I wanted to share with you that yesterday, Wednesday, we sent out a letter in support of our LGBTQ community. A copy of that letter was sent to you as well as to our families. There was a recent incident, a hate crime that took place in Santa Cruz County, where hateful slurs against our LGBTQ community were part of that crime. And also as a result of the rhetoric we're hearing in this very polarized environment. And so we wanted all of our school districts and our charter schools wanted to write a letter to show that we are going to continue to advocate on behalf of our LGBTQ community and work to ensure that we're creating safe spaces for all our students. We recognize this is something that we'll continue to work on to support our students and our staff. We're currently working with many partners in anticipation of potential action that could impact our immigrant community. We are partnering with a Community Action Board on several projects. On December 7th, there was a resource event for families who needed support in relation to their immigration status. This took place at Watsonville High School. We also supported Cabrillo College in the Dreamers Conference, which is for students who don't have their immigration status but want to pursue their educational future and in higher education. And we're also working on developing a website for resources for our immigrant community with different sections. Education is one of those. For example, currently, students who were born here are not able to apply for financial aid because they have to include their parents' social security numbers. Even though they are U.S. citizens, because their parents may not have a valid social security number, they can apply for financial aid that would allow them to get the financial aid to help them with their education. But there's a California version of the FAFSA that would allow them to get California aid. And so we want to make sure that these resources are available to our families, and for them also, for us to ensure that we are providing clear information to them, so that the paralyzing fear that existed in the past and is manifesting again is not stopping families from accessing resources that they deserve. I want to thank Berenice for helping us participate with the Adopt a Family gift distribution that took place at Sequoia High School. It was, I think we had 30 children who, right, 32. We supported a portion of the 152 students that got to get their gifts for the holidays, and it was a wonderful event at Sequoia High School. Lots of people participating and orchestrated by Berenice Valentin. I already spoke about the computer science events that took place at Watsonville High School and the MAW, and students got to participate in robotics and a variety of computer science and cybersecurity and a variety of other components. And there's also great collaboration with our school districts. There's a lot of great work that's taking place. I wanted to share with you this chart, which is probably hard to see for you, but it identifies the districts that have been identified for differentiated assistance. And this is something that Marcia Russell, our Associate Superintendent, has been working on with her Ed Services folks. You'll see that the last two columns are the ones that are maybe the most current information, which shows the districts that qualify for differentiated assistance, which are the ones that are going to get support from us to ensure that the different student groups that are identified, that we're working on really closing that achievement gap, ensuring if it's related to suspensions, if it's related to student achievement, or if it's related to their attendance, the different reasons for qualifying. We're probably going to be presenting to you sometime in the future, if you'd like it, a little bit more about differentiated assistance. But it's a very important role for the County Office of Education to support districts that have these areas of growth. And we feel that is, and by law and by our commitment, we are supporting these school districts to look at the data, look at the strengths that they have, but also identify these areas of growth and to support them with a very, very structured process to help them make improvements that will serve these students. So you'll see that there is Live Oak School District, as well as Pajaro Valley, San Lorenzo Valley, and our own Santa Cruz COE. We don't do support for our own programs because you have to go externally, and so our own alternative education programs are going to be working with external providers to support with this. The last column tells you how many student groups were identified for require this additional assistance. So you'll also notice that for the first time, there's in the list there are charter schools, and so there are now charter schools that are also in need, and our own career advancement charter is one of those charter schools that is in differentiated assistance. And this is these are the school districts that are identified for this additional level of support by the County Office of Education, and the role of the County Office of Education in providing this grows in importance. And I think it's I'm really grateful to Marcia and our team. I really feel like we have an outstanding group of educators who are coming in we're not judging, this is not about anything other than providing support and really standing with these educators and saying, what can we do to support you? And here are the tools that that can help you figure out how to, let's say, implement systems that are going to create kind of motivators so that we can find alternatives to suspension, or these are the things that we can do to improve your mathematics program if you participate in our math initiative that is going to help students perform better on the state math assessments. And so we'd love to come back at a future time if you'd allow us to provide a little bit more information about how we're doing in support of these school districts. And as time goes on, we are going to be looking to see if we're able to help these to lessen that number of districts that are identified for differentiated.
Dr. Sabah, quick newbie question.
Yes.
CCAMB, what's that?
So that is Central Coast. Help me out here. Is they renamed themselves?
They did rename themselves, and they
is-
formerly were California Connections Academy Monterey Bay.
Connections.
They have changed their name to California Online Public Schools Monterey Bay. It's an online, non-classroom based charter that operates and is authorized by Scotts Valley. Mhm.
And so they're part of a network of schools and with specific locations. And so the student population that they serve is only a portion of them are actually in this area. So it's going to make for some interesting differentiated assistance conversations. I also want to share with you that we have updated and finalized our strategic plan. And this image, we're still working on figuring out how it's going to look, but our mission, our vision, the feedback that you provided us, we're going to be sharing with you a document that has our finalized priorities and our roles, as well as the different values that we've identified. And so I want to thank you for the feedback you provided us, and I hope that when you look at and that outside circle, you'll notice that the words spell bridges, belonging, relationships, innovation, data-informed decisions, growth mindset, excellence, and sustainability. Those are for each of those, it really resonates with a different aspect of the work that we do, and I'm just grateful for your partnership and thought, helping us to develop our strategic. And I'll open it up for any questions.
I have a question. The social security number that's necessary, is that for federal or the state? It's okay.
Correct. So the FAFSA is a federal financial aid program, and recently they required students to enter their children's, the applicant's social security number. So the parents' social security number is a requirement for a student to access federal financial aid. Correct. And most of our students, there's a very small number of students who don't have their immigration status. There's the majority of our families who are struggling with their immigration status are what we call mixed status, meaning that students were born here, or they have their social security number, but it's in some cases one or more of their family don't. And so so we feel like there is both it's important for us to let them know about what resources are available to them, and also to try to reduce the fear about that could stop them from going to the health clinic, for example, or receiving services that they really need and deserve.
Superintendent, I know the FAFSA had a real rough history rolling out over the last year or two,
Years,
as our
yes.
students probably know as well, as I know from my kids. But I'm just amazed the current administration allowed the FAFSA form to require that unless it's in federal legislation that requires it. I'm surprised I haven't heard more alarms going off.
Yeah,
at that
you know,
requirement.
one of the reasons why, I mean, there have been a variety of different challenges for students being able to complete it. It's been, I don't know if our student trustees have experienced it in their own application process, but the numbers of students that were able to qualify, regardless of their immigration status, dropped considerably in the last 2 years because of the new rollout of the new FAFSA process. And so this has been one of the reasons why why this is happening. And again, to look at it from what is the opportunity here? The opportunity is to engage with our students and let them know about the resources that are available. Don't give up on your dream. Here are resources that are available. AB 540 in California and many other laws that protect our immigrant community are in place to allow for those resources. And there's wonderful programs at our local community college and other schools across the state that are going to continue advocating for.
Is this going to a physical office or is it an office? If student or parents have questions about status, immigration status? Where is it going to be located, or is it just a?
Are you talking about the resources that we're working on, or what is the question?
Should students or parents suffer in any way from immigration or there are problems of being deported? Will it be an office or online?
So what we're working on is in partnership with the Watsonville Law Center, with Community Action Board and Community Bridges. Those are our online. It's an online resources that will give you phone numbers. It will let you know that if, for example, if you have a family member who has been taken to a facility by the immigration office, what are the resources that are available? What agencies are available to provide support. So at this point, it's an online resource that we're going to be collecting all of our, as much information as possible. We're going to create videos to allow for folks who may not be literate or speak a language other than English and Spanish, because it'll be a bilingual website. But we're looking at creating videos in Mixteco that in our community. And other resources to help. Our idea is that there are so many agencies and schools, different community-based organizations that are working with families. We want to make sure that all of those advocates also have that information. So it may not be utilized by somebody who needs that information, but if I'm working with a family and they tell me my family member, has been taken to a facility by, an immigration facility, or I just want to know what options I have for, or should I be concerned about accessing, going to a federally qualified health center? We want to make sure that those people have the information to be able to let folks know, you don't have to worry. You can go to Salud para la Gente and you don't have to worry about your immigration status. Nobody's going to ask, and you're going to be able to get those resources, and it's not going to be detrimental. It's not going to hurt you in any way.
I just hope that everyone understands how to get to it.
Right. And so we'll be sharing that the resources with you. We're hoping to launch them before the inauguration of the next.
Thank you. All right. There are no further questions or comments. We'll move on to the student trustee reports. Let's start with Trustee Hopkins.
Last Wednesday, I got to join Jen Izant and we toured a few alternative schools around the county. It was really cool to see how many teachers there were compared to students. I feel like there's a lot more staff compared to students at most of the alternative schools, which, I mean, more support the better. We went to Highlands, Sequoia, Star, Cypress, and Freedom. And at Cypress, they had a senior seminar, which I think we should try to implement at most of the high schools around the county because it teaches like just how to live on your own as an adult. And I mean, I wish I had the opportunity to take that class. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. Yes.
I would like to congratulate Natalie for this being her 18th birthday and for her choosing to spend her 18th birthday with us. And we will be celebrating with her after the board meeting, and we have cake. And so after we'd love for everybody to join us and members of the audience as well to celebrate with Natalie.
Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Trustee Marcus?
So, in the near future, I'd like to start preparing and rolling out some surveys that I think to start would probably get the general idea of what the student body in the county thinks are the main issues, the main problems for students in the county. And then as I keep working, kind of refine those down, really get a big picture on what the problems are in the county for students in ways that would be effective for solving them. Whether it's like attendance, maybe more systems for sharing like educational paths, pushing motivation, things like that. So I'm really excited to be doing that and hopefully designing some surveys in the next few weeks and then rolling them out in the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. We are in trustee reports. We're going to start with Trustee Larson. This is our time to share what we've done this past month since we last met, typically held within 3 minutes. Your time to share.
Great. Just to assure the board, I won't come with written notes every time like I did in my opening comments or here. But since I have to report on 4 months, since I was elected in lieu, I did want to just give you a bunch of numbers. I met with or introduced myself to 33 different school board members, not only on this board, but the 4 local public schools. Met with 14 superintendents, heads of schools, and principals. I toured 12 public school sites, including 4 run by the COE, as well as the 4 private schools. Many thanks to COE for 9 briefings and onboarding meetings. I was on the 7-member COE delegation to the fantastic California School Boards Association. The highlights for me out of that were not only getting to know the other people there, but the AI, charter schools, and mental health sessions really all resonated with me. And as a side note, I didn't know they were going to be there, but I ended up running into 6 people I've worked with, taught, or were political allies in earlier lives. So it was just fun seeing other people I knew who are now into education as well. I've attended 3 COE-sponsored events, and all were fantastic. The October's Building Trades Day that filled the Civic Auditorium, the post-election immigration rally on the courthouse steps, and then I did go to the computer science tech showcase at the mall last week, which was fun seeing preschoolers doing digital bracelets, middle schoolers building a drone and flying it in the mall. And then the high school robotics team that was award winning. It was just full array. And then I have attended 2 foundations. The small schools, Bonnie Doon and Pacific, both have very active foundations. So I attended one of their events and one of their plans just to support them in their efforts. And I have 4 takeaways from all of that. The only one I want to share tonight is how loved the COE is. I've not met a single critic of the services and staff provided by the COE, and I quipped down in Anaheim at the conference, how Ferris must be the most loved elected official in the county. And it's primarily because he's the elected official that acts least like a politician. So, and he's just professional and gets the work done. So it's been great to join this team.
Thank you. Estrada?
Yeah, I my last board meeting was also on my birthday, so I got to share in that that fun of having to spend it here. I hope we made it fun. So I haven't done much recently. The SCUSBA meeting was canceled because of the holidays, and the next one is going to be I pulled it up January 13th here at the COE from 6:30 to 8. And they're going to be electing a president, vice president, secretary. And some other things I wanted to highlight that are happening soon. One is the Homeless Memorial, which is happening tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I know the COE does a lot of work for McKinney Vito. Is that what it is? Bento. Youth experiencing homelessness. And so that is, experiencing homelessness exponentially increases the likelihood of illness and death. So there's a homeless memorial. It's actually right over nearby at the Portuguese Hall tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then there is also the pit count, the point in time count, which is happening on Thursday, January 30th. And I did a training today, and they name dropped the COE as an important partner that they want to, especially work with to make sure that we are accurately counting folks, families, and youth that are experiencing homelessness. And so, this point in time count locally happens every single year, but it's mandated every 2 years for homeless grants and funding, especially from the federal and state governments. So hoping numbers are going down, hopefully programs that we are implementing are working, and the support that we're providing is making a really big difference. I've heard great things about, what the COE does, in terms of youth experiencing homelessness. So really good work. I want to mention they did name drop the COE, and I was like, I gotta make sure I say that tonight.
Thank you. Acosta?
I have nothing to share this month, but I do want to wish Trustee Hopkins a very happy birthday.
Thank you.
Ben Allen?
Likewise, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Mostly this past month since the last meeting, I've been coping with my new teeth not working. So I have a brand new set that hurt when I put them in, so I'm not wearing them now. This is a silly personal thing, but it's sure dominating my life right now. The other thing is that I'm continuing to make connections and do some research on educator workforce housing, which is the idea of school districts, potentially the county, but I'm not pushing it. I'm just saying it's out there as a possibility, helping develop affordable housing for their teachers and staff. This rising movement around the state and the country, and school districts are actually trying things and learning. And so what I've been trying to do is connect with as many as possible to get all the ideas and things that are flowing around. And it's hard to imagine what the national administration will be up to in the area of housing and affordability, but nationally there's been, I think, a much higher awareness of how everybody is in crisis around the cost of housing, and it's not just a Santa Cruz thing or a California. And that could mean that if we're ready for it, with plans that could be implemented if the money comes, then possibly money may eventually come and it'd be ready to get moving. I was on the city council. We had the experience that there was a recession. Everybody expected the federal government to step up, but they hadn't. We put plans in place, for example, to add the handicap ramps at every sidewalk corner. We had the plans, they were ready to build, and when that money was cut loose, we were modifying sidewalks within like a month of when the money became available. Nobody else in the county was doing it. It was because we had a ready to go plan. So what I'm trying to now build up more interest in, not just here, but with the other districts, getting plans in place, even if you don't have the money right now. A school district might have a vacant lot or a former school site that's not used. That's very valuable. Just trying to encourage more of that kind of discussion and preparation. It's going to be a long process, but pay off if we're ready.
Thank you. Williams?
Hello, everyone. So happy birthday. And I also want to thank you for bringing up the opportunity for life skills. I think it is a desperate need in our schools and high schools, and not everyone has someone at home to teach them those life skills. So maybe that's something we can work on, or you guys can work on together. So thank you for bringing that up. I've been less active this last month. I've been gone for almost 3 weeks out of the last 4 weeks out of town. But one of the weeks was attending the CSB in Anaheim. And I went in a day earlier and attended the new trustee orientation, which was, it was a full house. And I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't just all new trustees. We had superintendents, people introduced themselves being on boards for 5, 10 years. And I guess it's just always an opportunity to learn. So I learned some new stuff, got reaffirmed some other things that I knew. So happy to share some orientation books that I brought back. They had some extras. So it was really informative. And likewise, I followed the track with the health and well-being of students, and also attended the policy symposium piece of it. So I'll have some, so I'm excited. And more about what I plan on doing in the next 4 weeks. Continue with Inside Education. We meet up again in January, and a lot of things going on here at the COE. The blood drive on the 16th. I'll be doing that for the first time. And I've got the graduation dates on my calendar, and the MLK March on the 20th. So lots coming up.
Thank you. I also attended the CSBA conference, and a lot of talk about AI, a lot of talk about mental health. I think those are two very big, crucial, important topics that we're facing personally in our schools as well. It's good to hear people's perspectives. I really enjoyed one of the general sessions compared AI to the advancements in agriculture. So I have a degree in agriculture, so of course that brought my attention. But there was a tractor that they showed, right? And they kind of went through the process of how agriculture revolutionized from being, horse and plow to tractor to what we have today, and how it led to a lot more efficiency, and kind of how AI is the same way. Right? And we can embrace it and be more efficient, or we can fight it and still be okay, but be outdone by other people. So someone that was name drop a lot that I think it'd be good to share and look at is SAUSD, Santa Ana Unified School District. They have an AI compass. And that was shared multiple times as to something that is a good reference for schools to have in terms of AI and how they're adapting it. So it'd be good for us to kind of take a look at that if we need guidance, because a lot of people spoke very highly of that. Golden Bell was also a highlight. Congratulations, Andres, for your work, and it's good to be recognized, right? It's good to have some of that validation. I know we do have a lot of programs. We've known that for a while, but for other people to actually acknowledge and validate that is very powerful. So congratulations, and thank you for everything that you do for our students. And I also want to mention, what else did I do? Yes. So I spoke to a couple of people, and this has been a conversation that people have had for a while. And there's a lot of history there, but there's a nonprofit called ACCBE, the Association of California County Boards of Education. And long story short, CCBE used to be like its own board that would run under CSBA, specifically for the County Office of Education. That was disbanded, and now CSBA is taking more of control over those county responsibilities. And I was very involved with CCBE, so I know a lot of the people there. There's a lot of people that are very passionate about a CCBE and wanting us to join. Spoke to a couple of people. I haven't spoken too much about it here at this board, and that's because I needed more information. But after talking to a lot of people, I do feel comfortable in sharing and saying that it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort to legislate. It takes a lot of effort to get legislators' attention, to advocate, to get those connections in Washington D.C., in Sacramento. So we have a program right now, CCBE, who does that. You know, they have staff, and that's what they do. They look at legislature, they look at policy, they advocate on our behalf. ACCBE is just starting. It's a nonprofit. It's small, and I wish them well. And it takes a lot of effort. You know, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of money to be able to have that power, have that influence. So I personally am not getting too involved. I'm not getting involved at all with ACCBE, just because I do want to give CSBA a chance and use that platform, use what they already have established, to be able to advocate and to make a difference with for our students all across the state. And that's my report.
Busy? Attended the agenda planning meeting to the CSBA annual conference in Anaheim. Thoroughly enjoyed it, came back beat mentally and physically. The Golden Bell does work. Maybe it could be brought here and rung. I attended the county board breakfast of the CSBA. And the reason I really would like to be the delegate for this, as President Sanchez was saying, there's another group forming, but I think CSBA, solid organization and well established. And so I just like to be in there helping out before we consider going to not renegade because it gets great. But I think the power of the organization I went last week to the celebration for the Poe Bond in Scotts Valley. And all I will say is that when my oldest was entering kindergarten, we are now going to be getting use rooms because of this bond. There's going to be a lot of other fixing, but a long time coming. Scotts Valley is a difficult community, and anyway, 47 years and yes, 30 votes. Anyway, I sat there in just absolute amazement that and the sad part is all of the school districts in this county and state are suffering because there is not funding to repair. There's somewhat funding for new building, but to keep up the buildings that we, it comes out real tough. And we're scotch taped together, and the public doesn't understand. So when the bond issues come, people say, no, you can't cut the money, the state should take care of it. So anyway.
All that to say, happy birthday.
But it's talking about AI. One fact, it's only been around for 2 years. And the presenter was saying it is going to be bigger than fire and electricity.
Thank you. Any ad hoc or standing committee reports to mention? No, if not, there are a couple of dates that I do want to share with everybody. January 15th through the 17th are graduations. If we can get an Excel spreadsheet going, that would be great, so that we can attend and all coordinate based on our schedule, have some support. And I know it's always appreciated when the board shows up, says a couple of encouraging words. Our next regularly scheduled meeting, January 16th at 5:30. Make sure to update your calendars. And then also we have our special meeting board self-evaluation scheduled for January 25th at 9 a.m. Saturday. I hope you can all make it. I hope we can all be there. The last times that we've had it have been very productive. It's been very encouraging, very motivating. And I just always love spending time with you guys. So I just want to see you guys more. So hopefully we can all be there. So with that, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to be here, those that have to be here and those that chose to be here. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, very restful break, vacation if everybody's leaving, and we'll see you guys in January. And with that, meeting's closed.